And so we open this new year with a new sermon series called Brand New. And over these next few weeks, in fact, over the next 8 weeks, we'll be thinking about what it means to be brand new, what it means to be a new creation, what it means to have that relationship with God that is fresh and new every morning. That relationship with God that gets us up in the morning, that wakes us up, that calls us beyond our own experiences of life to find something that is new about this God that we worship. And over these next few weeks, as we gather and as we remind ourselves, as we call ourselves into this all-in experience, we'll be inviting you into a relationship with God that is all in, that is about embracing every aspect of our lives, about embracing every aspect of our values, every aspect of our understanding of who we are, made in the divine image of God, finding our way back to that discipleship path that calls us always to live in the ways of Jesus. And we begin this day on this new year, this first Sunday of the new year, and this brand new day, this brand new series, this brand new sermon. We start this day by calling ourselves into this sense of Epiphany, the arrival of the Magi, who, as we know, did not arrive at the stable or the inn or whatever it is that we want to call it, but arrived sometime after Jesus' birth as a fulfillment of the revelation and the prophecy that came from the prophet Isaiah thousands of years before Jesus' arrival, that every good Jew would have been looking for, the signs of the Messiah, the signs of revival, the signs of brand new life. For every Jewish mother hoped that their child would be the bearer of this Messiah. And yet, just like so many of us, we neglect to see the signs of what new life can bring to us. So often in our own experience of faith, we can become so entrenched in a theology or so entrenched in habits that it's hard to find something that is brand new, hard to find something that is an epiphany, hard to find something that might call us into a new day of hope. But the Messiah's gospel, this gospel of Jesus, these Magi who traveled far, far from their journey, would come to acknowledge this child, come to acknowledge in them something that was brand new, something that would urge them to continue on the journey, to follow the star all the way to the place that they found Mary and Joseph and Jesus. And here we are on this brand new day, on this brand new year, inviting ourselves to follow that star and to offer ourselves as gifts. Offer ourselves as new gifts. And in order for us to be giving ourselves as something that is new, then I believe that we begin the new year with a brand new attitude. Not a New Year's resolution, but a brand new attitude that we might aspire to as we move through this year together. A brand new attitude of looking out at the world through a different lens, not through the lens of the government, not through the lens of King Herod, not through the lens of those who perhaps want to manipulate and control us, but that we might look at our lives through the lens of God. This God who calls us always to have a brand new attitude with a brand new day. I don't know about you, but I'm grateful to a God who allows me to wake up every morning with a choice to come with a fresh and new perspective on life. A fresh and new perspective on who I am becoming, because God has not finished with any one of us. But so often, in the distress of life, we can get so bogged down with what yesterday looked like that we fail to wake up every day knowing that we are a new creation. We fail to wake up every day knowing that we have another opportunity to make good on who we are, made in God's image. And those Magi that came to honor and to worship this Christ child had to find a brand new attitude in their lives. We don't know how long they had traveled. We don't know how many times they had seen the star and perhaps lost it for a little while and the star would reappear. We don't know all of the story of the Magi. They appear in the story, but we don't know all the circumstances of their lives. What we do know is that they weren't three lonely Magi traveling on camels. What we do know is that those who were in the astrology market, they weren't kings. Remember, these were magi. These were workers of magic. It always seems ironic to me that the first Gentiles that worshiped Jesus were those who were concerned with magic and astrology, especially with what the church has done with magicians and astrologers over the years. But those first magi who were the astrologers who had seen the star and who had followed the star were the first non-Jews to come to worship Jesus. And they opened the doorway for you and I, those who are called non-Jews, the Gentiles, to come and to also honor this Christ. They came with a brand new attitude, an attitude that would transform them. They also came with an attitude that they could rebel against King Herod, who was the hierarchy, the king who was over this Jewish nation at the time. And instead of falling into the patterns of what the authorities would say, they took on a brand new attitude that I believe leads people of faith to be those countercultural peoples. Those who will follow Jesus and not follow the rules and regulations of some particular theocracy or some particular hierarchy and monarchy. They led the way for us to have a brand new attitude that we would consent to live in the ways of Jesus, to live in the ways of compassion, and to live in the ways of kindness. But in a world such as we live in this day, we have to wake up every morning with that brand new attitude, that brand new assertion that we will make good on who we are and who God has created us to be. It takes a brand new attitude. Perhaps that's an epiphany this morning. Perhaps many of us have fallen into that rut of believing that we can just do the same thing and expect different results. How many of us do that? We do the same thing and we expect different results. And Jesus wakes us up this morning and says, there is a brand new day. There is a brand new attitude, and we get to choose how we engage in that in our lives. The Magi found that brand new attitude would lead them to the Christ child. That brand new experience of God that had been prophesied all those generations ago would come to fulfillment in this story. And their epiphany, their conversation with themselves would lead them to the fulfillment, to the opening of the doorway, an opening of life, an opening to you and me that we too could come and worship Christ. Worship this God who is here on earth, who is embodied in you and me. And it takes a fresh dawning. It takes a fresh attitude. It takes a fresh experience of God. We are hoping that as we open this new year, that you will engage in a new experience of God. A new experience of this God who is still with us, this God who is still speaking, that we might consider ourselves all in this year. As we find our discipleship path to know God deeper in new ways and in fresh ways. Using our small groups and using our large celebrations on Sunday to know that God is the God of hope. The God who gives us fresh eyes. The God who will put a star in the sky and help us to follow. A God who perhaps is calling you to be a star in the world and enable others to not only discover their gifts, but to use those gifts to the benefit of God's purpose. It is through this new experience, through this brand new day, through this own decision personally of committing ourselves to what it means to be a follower of Jesus, that you and I can find God again and again and again. The wise ones would offer their gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And you can read about the significance of those gifts in your weekly this week. But there is no more significance of a gift than the gift that you have to offer to God yourself this day. The significance of you. The significance of a brand new attitude. A brand new person. God invites us to be fresh every morning. And that doesn't mean that we have to get under the shower. It means that we come with a fresh attitude of life. A fresh attitude and a lens that calls each and every one of us to find the blessedness of our lives, the holiness of who we are. A God who calls us beloved, children of God. I invite you as we begin this new day, this new year, this new series, to come fresh every morning with an attitude of gratitude, an attitude of praise, an attitude of getting down and worshiping God. You know, when we get down and worship God on our knees, we're not saying that somehow this God is kind of crouching over us. We are saying that we are honoring this God because God is worthy of our praise. And when God is honor and worthy of our praise, God then makes us worthy as well. A brand new attitude, an attitude of thanksgiving, an attitude of gratitude, and an attitude that will take us beyond the walls of this day and this service out into the world, that others too might find the grace that God has already given to us. An attitude that when we see one another, our lights and our faces brighten because we see the face of God in one another. Magi came to worship this Christ child and saw the face of God in a baby child. And today we come into this place and we see the face of God reflected against us, within us, and through us. And for that we give praise. For that we offer our gifts. For that we offer our lives. For that we are all in for this God who woke us up this morning, who showed us the way to Cathedral of Hope, United Church of Christ. It wasn't your GPS. Showed us the way to be here, and who takes us beyond this place that we too might shine like the star in the sky, in our lives, to others, so that they too might find a brand new day and a brand new attitude. May that be all that we are the hallmarks of Cathedral of Hope, as we express this God whom we have worshipped and adored throughout this Christmas season, and who arrives now at this Epiphany moment to say welcome to a brand new day, to the honor and glory of the one that we love and adore and bow down to this morning, Jesus the Christ. God bless you and Happy New Year. Cathedral of Hope, United Church of Christ. Amen.